Oh my god, going Mega Eagle dump truck final part, hopefully. Okay, I'll just tell you I bought a couple of bits, so we'll just have a look at them and then we'll go into the normal dump truck format. All right. Okay. So I'd tried to make my own hydraulics for the bed, and I mean I wouldn't call it a total fail, but like right now, time's pretty limited for me, so I've ditched my homemade stuff and gone out and bought a commercially available hand pump. It's the sort of thing that raises the cab on a lorry or truck if you're on a state, and a cab over, I don't know, whatever. And a couple of nice big rams. So these are single acting rams, pretty cheap, but nice heavy duty rams. Or you know, for what I'm doing anyway, they're relatively heavy duty. They'll definitely do the job. Two of these, and well, unfortunately, the cheapest way of me getting the hand operated hydraulic pump was to buy something that included the tank. So we're just going to use this, make it nice and simple. This is 70 quid, you know, but it's going to get the job done, and I won't have any worries about reliability and bursting seals and covering everything in hide fluid. So we've got a nice pump here, and by my calculations it should take exactly seven cranks of this thing to raise the bed. And we've got a knob here, so you know I a little bit disappointed that I couldn't make it work, but I'm a lot more hopeful that this will give me the reliable trouble-free dump truck that I'm after. Alright, let's get on it. Oh yeah, I'm going to take this opportunity because the only place to really mount this is behind the seat. And also I've been fretting a little bit about the clearance when the bed's raised. It's going to have very little clearance underneath it at the back, so I'm going to take this opportunity to slightly alter the geometry of the machine. I'm not going to do any cutting and welding to that machine. Hopefully I can just build a chassis on top of a chassis, which is what most smaller road going tippers do. They have the vehicle chassis and then a separate chassis for the tipper bed, and that bolts down on top, rubber mounts in between. That's what I'll do here, and that way I can mount the tipper a little bit further back and a little bit higher up, and it should all work a lot better, and put a little bit more weight over the back tyres, which is something I found from the test drive, something I'll probably want when it's empty. Yeah? Alright, let's actually get cracking this time, alright? Okay, a bit of filing. This is the mounting plate for the pump itself. Nice heavy bit of metal. Keep using this stuff, I'm going to run out one day. But I haven't run out yet. So it's going to go. And the reservoir going on. Gasket and the pump itself have a. This is what I came up with to operate the release valve. That's a 14mm socket welded onto the end of a bar with a wobbly joint at the knob end. So I'm reusing my original knob, which is great because I like that knob. Came out nice, hewn from a solid lump of 50mm bar stock. Okay, and we needed to put a cranked handle on the pump, so to avoid the other controls. Right, pump's done. This is the chassis extension that I was on about. So, what is made out of the same 20x40 box section that I built the chassis of the dump truck out of, but it's only going to bolt on, so it should let the whole thing flex quite nicely, and these are the heavy bits going on the back, so it's going to basically bolt onto the chassis. The original point was going to have the tipper tipping. So we got you know, thick bits of metal going to thick bits of metal, and the rest of it will be able to flex. Looking good. Alright. Easiest way I could figure getting it all lined up is just to put the bed back on and put the hinge point on, tack it all in place with everything together. That way it can't not line up, can it? Hey? And it tips.
But it does seem that they did leave that away a bit, and when the Germans later occupied...
more heavy metal. It's only 10mm, I suppose. I know some blokes work with stuff a lot heavier, but for me it's pretty heavy. Alright, these are the attachment brackets for the ram at the chassis end, the fixed ends. And I'm going to tie them together with a lump of solid 20mm round stock. It's what I had on hand. No, it's a nice way of doing it, I think, just to stop it splaying or compressing. And that got welded on. And now ram's going in. These are only tacked in place. I did weld it all up properly, took it off and painted it, but didn't take any photos of that or film. Either way, that's the back end of the ram. That orange piece you can see there is the temporary plastic plug covering up the port. And same again, big lumps of metal for the attachment point to the for the tipper body itself. So that's where the other ends of the ram attach. Right, now we're just turkey basting some hyd fluid into the res. Well, it's not actually hydraulic fluid. It's Mercedes-Benz automatic gearbox fluid, but you know, same. It'll do fine. These turkey basters are great. Like really makes changing diff oil and stuff easy. Just bleeding these cylinders now because we've got a single acting system. You know, it's a lot easier to get the air out of them with the rams not mounted, so I can fill them up and then compress them with the hoses at the top of the ram. That way you get all the air out pretty quickly and you're not faffing around.
Was banned from owning property, banned from renting property, banned from staying in hotels.
Okay, so the first problem
he was banned from
is,
shopping and
maybe some of you could have guessed, the bed does not go down by itself. Needs a little push. All the gravity straight over the hinge point, yeah? Can't overcome the resistance of the rams. Little push. Right. So, fortunately, I've got a pretty much limitless supply of kids' trampoline springs. Now look at the difference here. Alright. It works. Little close up of those springs. The attachment point at the bottom that swivels. There we go. Lovely. They drop out of the way. Double acting pump actually sends this bed up pretty quickly, which is good. quickly and effortlessly. And back down again. Yep, it definitely works. Alright. That last little job was just tying these hoses out of the way. Cable ties, bit of a pikey thing to do, but you know, yeah, I haven't really got any excuses for that. I wish I'd made some brackets up now. Well, I kind of wish I'd done it in solid line and a short length of hose at the end, but oh, I don't know. Time's pretty valuable. Time's more valuable than being happy about spending a day making some solid lines up for this thing. You know. Okay. Okay, so the dump truck's pretty much done, you know. Still a couple of little issues. I messed around with the steering at the front and got it a lot better, but it's still giving me problems. I've got a lot of wear on the original quad bike running gear, you know, and I tried to rectify it before I assembled it first time, but I haven't done a good enough job pretty much. But hey, we're not digging it at the moment. The hole will resume very shortly, but until then I've got some timber in the back of here just to show you what it does. Okay, there she is, folks. This is the finished dump truck. I say finished, but there's always going to be a few little mods I want to do. There's already a couple of things. I've ordered new hubs to the front, and I'll probably make up my own wishbones a little bit meatier than these. The hubs are a bit meatier, so a little bit meatier wishbones, and then stick some different shocks in there. I mean, I'm using it at the minute, so that's not going to hold up the holding or anything like that. The other thing was, see, he's fine off road up to a limit, but if I hit sort of bigger obstacles, because we have got quite small wheels on this, then it doesn't really have the guts, which I think a few of you expected, and it was never meant for, you know, serious off-roading or whatever. Just as long as it can go over a bit of mud and that's okay. But I have found on Alibaba a dropper box for these things, you know, low range box. So it's a 2-speed box. It's got 50% and a 100%. So basically, I can put it. There's 3 different types you can get. There's either one to replace a reversing box, so that'll pretty much bolt straight on. But as well as reverse, it's got a high-low range built in as well. Then there's one mid-mount that you need a prop shaft going to, and then another prop shaft going to the back. And there's one that bolts onto the back axle. Yeah. So I'm just chatting with the manufacturers and, you know, seeing which one's the best one for me. And then I'll probably get one of those. You know, that's probably the only thing I can think of right now that I really want to do to this to make it any better. But obviously, when it's in you know, serious hole digging use, then I'll probably find a few more bits that I want to do. It's come out beautifully. I'm really happy with it, you know. I wish I'd decided to go with the commercially available hydraulics at the beginning, but I really thought I'd be able to use the bottle jacks, but I probably could have made it work, to be honest. But right now I just want to get back in the hole. It does work very nicely though. And you know, the thing with this is I know it's going to be pretty reliable, and if any single component fails, I can just get a new one, can't I? It won't mean I'm out of action for a while. The springs, I added springs there at the back. But yeah, you can see there we've got 30mm cylinders, so there's a fair bit of lifting available there. I barely felt the wood. If this thing's loaded up with wet mud, it's going to have a lot more weight in it than that bit of timber I just had in here. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in. I suppose I could find something heavier.